Hello, Sublime. Thank you so much for that call-in. I apologize in advance if I mispronounced your name, which I probably did. So I apologize for doing that. So let's go and answer your question here and do a bit of a rant, the daily rant, all about subtitles. Myself, I'm actually a pretty big fan of subtitles. I like subtitles on videos, on movies, etc. when learning a different language. I think there can be a lot of value to them. However, you do need to be very careful, right? You need to make sure you're using them not as a crutch, but rather as a tool. Let me explain. For example, let's say you're learning Japanese and you're watching some movie and you've got English subtitles, or let's say English subtitles on, why not? Or even English-Japanese, the language doesn't fully matter in this example. You've got subtitles on. If you're using them as a crutch, essentially what you're doing is you are just reading the subtitles with the main goal of being able to enjoy the movie, right? If you're using the subtitles as a tool, essentially what you're doing is you're watching the movie and you are trying your absolute best to understand what's happening by listening and not by reading, and you're only using the subtitles minimally. For example, that would be one way to use the subtitles as a tool instead of a crutch. Another way you could potentially use subtitles, and this probably is a little bit harder on a movie and slightly easier on a YouTube video per se, is what you could do is you could watch the video once, no subtitles, maybe watch it a second time, no subtitles, and then watch it again with subtitles. So you're trying to absorb the content without the subtitles, but you're using the subtitles to then teach yourself some new vocabulary. Train your ears on, oh, I know that word, but the way that the person said it in the video, I just didn't understand it, etc., 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 right? So you want to make sure, however you choose to use your subtitles, you need to make sure, in my perspective, you need to make sure that you are using them in a strategic way that is enhancing or that is helping you improve in the language, and not in a way that is actually holding you back, or not in a way that you're just trying to enjoy the content you're watching, so you're reading the subtitles to understand. Like that's maybe not, I'm not a fan of using subtitles more in that sense. In terms of, you're asking, like, what do I think about people adding wrongly translated subtitles or incorrect subtitles and how to improve that? Hey man, to be perfectly open with you, that's not really something I think much about. It's not something I really care a ton about. Usually I'm someone who focuses a lot on things that I particularly control. And so, for example, if someone were to submit subtitles onto one of my videos on YouTube, for instance, and let's say it was in a language that I spoke, I would probably go through it first to make sure it's correct. And if it's not correct, I would probably, if I knew who actually submitted and I had contact info, I'd go and ask them, like, hey man, you done this incorrectly, right? This is actually wrong. Or I might just go change it myself because it's specifically relevant to me. In terms of the overall field of like incorrectly translated things, I mean, I've seen so much of that. Never mind subtitles, I've seen like incorrect translations, incorrect language usage, even in very professional settings, like where things, for example, I've seen I recently, even like a week ago, I had a document come across me that was translated into French by who knows who, probably Google Translate by what I could tell, but very poorly translated. And that was actually being used and people were actually reading it, at least I think they were based on the context of it. But anyway, going on a tangent. But yeah, it's kind of my thoughts on people adding wrongly subtitled videos. Not really sure how to improve that on a global level or on an overall level, but personal level, I know how I change it. And then you had some different questions here. I'm just reading, I took some notes as you're talking, so you asked lots of different questions. In terms of like which tools I use for captions, I mean, it depends on the platform. YouTube has an actual tool for you to do that. Facebook has it if you're going to make advertisements. Like a lot of platforms give you the tools to be able to do it. I'm actually curious. Feel free to call in again to let me know how you've been struggling with that for the how-to for adding captions. Yeah, and that's kind of my whole rant on adding subtitles. Next up here, only for the people on Anchor who are listening to this within the past 24 hours. You guys are going to hear some different songs. We'll have some Hindi, we'll do some Spanish, we'll do a bunch of different languages. Hopefully I can introduce you guys to some different things you hadn't heard or maybe some things that you've heard that you really enjoy. So everyone else, thank you for watching. I guess people on YouTube, because you have the camera running. Podcast listeners, iTunes, Google Play Music, people listening to this on the episode section of Anchor, thank you for listening, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.